A decades-old cold case murder of 50-year-old Sherry Holtz has finally been solved. On the 4th of December 1999, Sherry's body was discovered by someone picking up cans in a wooded area behind a AAMCO transmission shop at 2890 South Orlando Drive in Sanford, Florida, and 911 was contacted. Police responded to the scene and found Sherry deceased laying on her back on a concrete slab with her clothes pulled off, exposing most of her body. There was a laceration to her throat, which was determined to be a cause of death, and there was a lock-blade knife with blood on it located near her body. It was also determined that Sherry had been beaten, strangled and sexually battered, and the death was ruled a homicide. Police collected evidence at the scene, and an extensive investigation began. During the investigation, detectives learned that Sherry lived with a longtime boyfriend, Gary Durant, who was 49 years old at the time, and 3 other roommates at a house at 825 Crows Bluff Lane in Sanford, Florida. Through interviews, police learned that Sherry was last seen on the evening of the 3rd of December 1999 at a bar along Park Drive, less than a mile away from where she was found dead. Gary became an early suspect in the case after the couple's roommates told police they had been fighting and that they didn't know where he had been for the portion of the night Sherry was killed. The roommates said that Gary kicked Sherry out of their residence the night before the killing after a fight, and that the wooded area where her body was found was a place where she would go whenever they would fight. Police questioned Gary, but he denied being with Sherry on the night of the homicide. Authorities said that police responded to Gary and Sherry's home previously for domestic violence calls. Gary willingly provided DNA samples to police, who compared them to a knife recovered from the crime scene. The blood found on the knife was sent to a crime lab for testing in 2000, but it was such small amounts that the forensic technology at the time couldn't properly test it, and the case went cold for decades. In May of 2023, police reopened the case due to advances in forensic technology. The previously collected DNA samples and evidence, including the knife, were resubmitted to the crime lab for testing. After the investigation was reopened, witnesses were re-interviewed and said that when Gary returned home, he said he had seen Sherry's dead body and assisted with the crime scene, but authorities said he made those statements before Sanford police had been notified of her death or found her body. In June of 2024, the results of the testing came back indicating that the blood on the blade of the knife was Sherry's and that the DNA on the knife handle was Gary's, and a warrant for Gary's arrest, who's now 73 years old, was issued. On the 18th of July, police located Gary near a wooded area of Veterans Memorial Parkway in Orange City, and he was taken into custody. Authorities said that after confronting Gary with the evidence, he confessed to killing Sherry. He was booked into the Seminole County Jail on a second-degree homicide charge, where he remains held without bond. Sanford Police Chief Cecil Smith addressed the gravity of the murder and the relief brought by the arrest, saying that 24 years ago, Sherry was murdered and left behind in the woods as if her life had no value. This was someone's mother, someone's daughter. He said hopefully this brings some peace to Sherry's family, knowing that the individual who was a long-time boyfriend will now face justice for the horrible and despicable things that he did.